some very bad news. So let's start it off. The Sony had just announced that starting on January 2028, they will cease production of physical CDs, physical media. Their explanation for that is because they're seeing their digital sales are around 80%, more 80% more so than the physical CD sales. So that is their reasoning why they are switching to digital. I think it's because of the fact that they saw Nintendo do it first, and people still bought Nintendo Switch, even though Nintendo literally said it in their face, directly in their face, that this was they were going to do digitally, no CD, no cartridge of any kind, and anything they do against their particular laws or rules or whatever Nintendo has set forth, they are going to brick their console. And people still bought the damn thing anyway. So Sony's just following suit. Xbox is going to do the same thing. I think they already announced they will be doing it at some point, but who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if they do, because why not? Just pathetic. And so. And speaking of that, with Nintendo, we just found out what the GTA price is going to be. So it's going to be $100 for the entire game, fully developed game. $80 for the game to be neutered. So they're going to charge you $80 for a neutered game. So if you want the complete game, you have to pay $120. Now, for a lot of people, that don't seem like a lot, but then if that's the case, then you should just charge it $80 then for the whole game. No two types of pricing. I don't seem to understand about this these different pricing for different things. I just don't get that. It irritates me to no end that we have come to a point where video games now are intentionally neutered just to force people to buy in more. We have to spend more to get the full game, where when I was a kid, we got the entire game. And now here we are. I had that issue with 2K, WWE 2K. I bought a few of their games, and I've had to spend between $100 and $120 to get the full game so I could have the full experience. I've stopped buying those games because I refuse to do that again. The last game I bought was the 2K24, and that's it. I'm not buying any more games, of their games anyway, because it's just ridiculous at this point. They're just robbing me. I used to be, this is a guy who you're looking at. I bought Here Comes the Pain. It had everything. And now, again, neutered game. We're in the era of neutered games, and to get the full game, you got to pay more. The Steam prices came out, and unfortunately, it is all that we feared. And I wonder, when they decided the pricing, did they really wanted to say with or without controller, or was it just, they felt like they could pull something over? I don't know. But I have never heard of any console that didn't come with a controller. They're really trying to sell people a console without a controller. I don't get that. We're going to need the controller to play the game. Unless they think that people already have controllers from their PC, I don't know. But either way, it's between $1,000 for the 512 gigabyte, which is extremely low, to 2 terabytes with controller. That's around a little over $1,400. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, $1,400. That is rent for a lot of people. And they are charging that for a console. I understand where they come from, though. I'm not mad at them because of the RAM shortage, because of the RAM companies and who are responsible for, distributing a lot of the RAM chips that most of these video game consoles use. They're now fully in on AI, and they're making a ton of money. So I don't blame Valve for this in terms of the Steam pricing, because they really had no other options. In any other time period, the Steam machine will most likely at the most be $600. That comes with the controller, 2 terabyte. and that is something people can deal with. But $1,400, or more specifically $1,498, and I'm not talking $14.98. I'm talking $1,498. I don't know. This is where we got, you know, and the signs were there. Signs were there when Nintendo started that stuff last year with the bricking of consoles, with the threat of breaking of consoles, that they didn't follow the protocols of what Nintendo wanted. People still bought it, sold it like crazy. And then they got upset when Netflix did something similar. Well, not something similar, kind of something what the tech industry in terms of the media is trying to do. Whereas when Michelle Obama's documentary got really popping right after Millennia's documentary flopped, Michelle's doc got really big. This is an old documentary, mind. I think it came out in 2016, 2017. And it got really popular on Netflix. And so Netflix pretty much hid the doc in some children's section somewhere. I don't know. But they hid it. And of course people were upset about that. But we knew what it was. We knew. Still disgusting, but we knew. And now it's leading towards what Sony's doing. Nintendo tested it, Netflix pushed it, and now Sony's going for it. Speaking of what Nintendo has been doing, doing the little game codes, Rockstar has announced that GTA 6, which will be coming out November 19th, will also be doing the game codes. No physical CD, but they're making you pay $100. They're making you pay $100 for the entire game. This is what we have come to, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't blame the developers. I don't blame them at all. You know who I truly blame? I blame you. I blame you. And I'll tell you why. When Nintendo came out with all those protocols about what they're going to do when Nintendo Switch 2 came out, that was our chance to really stick it to Nintendo that we were not going to tolerate it. Not only were their prices way higher, mind you, they also around the same time raised the price of the Nintendo Switch 1. So on top of them raising the prices, they said they were not going to have no cartridges, just the game code, little code you could download. So it's licensing, you don't own the game. And since everything's connected online, you can't do anything offline. They can literally brick your console if they feel like you're jeopardizing or breaking one of their rules, whatever the rules you have. So I guess it's no hacking or jailbreaking or whatever. You can't do that. And they can somehow censor it or something. Alert goes out and they could brick your console. So you spend about $500 plus the games were about $80. Nintendo started this whole wave. And what did we do as consumers? I think they broke the record for the most consoles they've ever had sold within a short span. When I heard that, it made me sick. Because that was our chance to take a stand, and we don't do it. Before this, there was a situation, I think it was before or after, I'm not sure, last year, when Beyonce had a concert, and people were complaining about the tickets, and people were spending their rent money and going on Klarna. Ridiculous. We do not make a big stink enough when it comes to these things. When it comes to our enjoyment or entertainment, we don't put our foot down. With all the old diseases coming out, Ebola, measles, things that should have been eradicated years ago, polio, whatever, that's been re-emerging in our society now. There's one disease, unfortunately, that has been rampant throughout our country, in our world, actually. It's called FOMO. I can't stand that. You mean to tell me you can't live without something that's not detriment to your being? That's not detriment to your life? That if you don't have it, you can't live? Like, there's not other forms of entertainment that you could invest your monies in. It's that. You couldn't take a stand because you didn't want to be left out. It's not about the game. I have no problem with the switch. It's the principle. They are showing us they don't care about the consumer or you as a person, or you as a buyer. They know that you'll buy because you fear of missing out. I love missing out because I want to keep my sanity and my money in my pocket because I have bills to pay. I want to keep living in my home. I want to keep eating food. I want to make sure I can travel to work. I want to make sure I can do little things outside of my life. Even, going to the movies, going on a date, save a little bit, go on an adventure, go to these, Comic-Con and all this other stuff that I want to do. That takes money. I'm willing to sacrifice, again, a game console to make sure that I can do those other things because those things are more important to me. But a lot of you guys think a game console is more important than the experiences. They are robbing us, and you're letting them. That's why I don't blame them, because they see you as like, okay, I'll take more money if you're willing to give it. The Nintendo sales says it. The GTA 6 sales says it. And they don't even have any game footage of the damn game yet. But the pre-sale just, right off. Maybe just me, because, I'm 42 years old. Because I remember a time where I could just buy a game. It was fully developed, no problems, no bugs, no nothing. No online crap. I just put the damn game in the console and played. That was it. I paid whatever the $50 I had to pay, and that was that. And that was considered highly expensive. And now we're getting to a point where we're paying 80 to 100 to 120 bucks for one game. For one game, because they have all the DLC content. They couldn't add that to the game. You got to buy that. As gamers, as even consumers, if we do not force these people to realize that we're not just going to give our money, especially in these very bad economic times, that makes it even worse. Guys, I don't know anyone's financial. You don't know my financials. But why are we going to spend more money on something that we knew we could get for cheap? None of these things are worth it. They're just not. That's why I have been such an advocate on my podcast about retro gaming. Blow the dust off your PS3s, your 2s, your 1s, your Xbox 360s, your Xbox. And the physical media for those games are still there. They're in the comic book stores. They're in the whatever GameStops are still available. They're on Amazon. They're on eBay. They're on Etsy. They're on Facebook Marketplace. They are there. And the consoles are still there too. People are selling it. I don't know why. I would suggest they keep it because they might be very valuable these upcoming years. Because now physical gaming is gone. Physical media, DVDs or movies are gone. I wouldn't be surprised if I heard Blu-rays are actually selling out because people want to start buying physical media again. I wouldn't be surprised if CD players or vinyls start going off because now they're going to be such a collector's item because it's going to be digital when they should have put their foot down from the beginning. It was all leading up to what's going on right now. It was our music, then our films, and now our video games. So again, guys, when are we going to take a stand? This is the One Life Player.